London society, my dear, is full of women of the very highest birth who have remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is an incident in point. She has been 35 ever since she arrived at the age of 40, which is a very long time ago now. So I see no reason why you, my sweet child, should not be even more attractive at the age that is mentioned as you are at present. And there will be a large accumulation of property. You must be perfectly aware that what you propose is out of the question.
Ooh, then a passionate celibacy is all any of us can afford to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolen. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come, Gwendolen, we have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more, we might be subject to comment on the platform. I have been saved. I have been given a second chance. I have been shown a glimpse of things what could have been. And now I will make sure that they will never be. And I will honour Christmas and never forget the lessons that the 3 spirits have taught me. Oh, goodness gracious me. I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather. I could scream. I could laugh. I feel as young as a schoolboy. The next day, I went to community caring down at the health centre. It caters for all sorts. Steve, who runs it, said he's dead against what he calls the ghetto approach. What he's after is a nice mix of personality difficulties as being a fruitful exercise in problem solving and a more realistic model of society in general. There's a constant flow of coffee oiling the wheels, as Steve calls it, and we're all encouraged to ventilate our problems and generally let our hair down. I sometimes feel a bit out of it, as I don't have any particular problems. But this time, when Steve says, "Right now, lads and lasses, who is going to get the ball rolling?" I get in quick and tell them all about Mother and Mr. Turnbull. And when I've finished, Steve says, "Thank you, Graham, for sharing your problem with us. Who would like to kick it around?" First off the mark is Leonard, who wonders whether Graham has sufficiently appreciated that older people can have meaningful relationships as well as young people. This is not unsurprising coming from Leonard, as he is 65, but he doesn't have meaningful relationships. He's just been had up for exposing himself at Sainsbury's doorway. As Mother says, Tesco's, you could understand it. Your record in the war is very well remembered by us, Captain.
I'm glad to hear you say that, sir.
Let's get to the point.
If you don't mind, in our Navy, we hold you in very high regard, which explains why I am here. Having had no answer from our telegram, the High Command sent me in person.
Very flattering, Admiral, but I've had no time to consider...
I am here to present you with your commission.
I'm deeply conscious of the honour, sir, but...
Your orders are to report immediately to the naval base at Bremenhaven.
Immediately? I'm afraid that will be impossible for you, Georg.
Admiral, may I present my wife, the Baroness von Trapp?
Madam?
What I meant, sir, is that we're all performing at the Cotsburg Festival Friday night. See here, the One Trap Family Singers in the programme.
Friday night. This is Wednesday. It is only a matter of a few days. It might be possible.
Once upon a time, we were stopped by one of those questionnaire women who reckons to take us for husband and wife. I mean, Mum's got white hair. She was doing this bit of a dodge, and I said, Mum, let go of my arm. And the next thing, I didn't really wrench it, but the next thing I know, she was flat on the pavement, and I said, oh my God, Mother. People gathered round, and I picked up her bag. And she sits up and says, oh, I've loaded both my stockings. I said, never mind your stockings. What about your pelvis? She said, it's these bifocals. They tell you not to look down. I was avoiding some sick. And then somebody says, that's a familiar voice. This little fella bending over her. Green trilby hat. Shorty raincoat. Hello, he says. Remember me?
People need to remain in their place. Order must be upheld. There must be order. With men like me leading the way, I have a title and power. I was the best man for the job. I did it because it was right. He was a loose cannon. He was different. I could not control him. I am a good soldier, like my father was, and his father before him. I do not deserve this.
I can hear you huffing and puffing all the way up here.
Well, it's heavy. What even is it?
It's an essential component of a death machine, and you are a very useful mammal.
Thank you. There's council coming up, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
Do you want me to tell them to bugger off, or do you want the pleasure?
No, I will, after a fashion. It's no use lying to oneself. I am the most wretched of all my patients, Mrs. Helmer. And lately, I've been taking stock of my internal economy. Bankrupt. Probably within the month, I shall lie rotting in the churchyard.
What an ugly thing to say.
The whole thing is cursedly ugly. And the worst of it is that there is so much more that is ugly before that. I only have to do one more examination of myself. And when I have done that, I shall know pretty suddenly when the horrors of disillusions will begin. I know that you love me, Pat. And when I was Ken Harrison, I loved you. But that was a long time ago. Well, at least 6 months under spine ago. I'm not the man that loved you now. You've been loyal. You've been loving. You've been self-sacrificing. And I don't want to be any part of it anymore. I want you to walk out of here and never come back. I want you to meet a man, get married, have babies. Do you know that every time you walk into this room, you remind me of the way things were? And every time I look at you, I see what I cannot do, and what I will never do again. I can't stand it. I know that you love me, Patty. So if you do, and you don't want to go on torturing me, you'll leave now. Please.
I'm a fool. Yeah, I always knew you were. Look, please, don't let it come to this again, okay? Please just promise you'll tell me.
I promise.
Right, time's your care here. He's very late.
Will's not coming.
What? Why?
I've given him the week off so I could spend more time with Neve before.
Right. Right.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm staying. I'm going to call Cherry, let her know.
Not on that phone, you're not.
Why, what do you mean?
I cut the line.
Why?
So, I couldn't back out if I was alone and scared.
You're not alone.
I know. Come on, let's get this party started.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Come on, Smiles. To friendship.
Friendship. You're gonna get me into trouble, aren't you?
I do hope so.
But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking glass, I, that am so rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a once ambling nymph, I, that am curtailed of this bare proportion, cheated of future by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I hold by them. Why I, in this weak, piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain, and hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots have I laid, inductions, dangerous, by prophecies, liables, and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, then this day shall Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says, G. of Edward's heirs, the murderer shall be. Dive the words down to my soul. Here, Clarence comes.
None of us is safe anymore.
Mom, that's not true.
Those wolves are getting bolder.
Yes, but that's only the wild wolves in the forest, Father. There's lots of wolves living quite happily with humans.
Perhaps, but tomorrow night is the night of the full moon, when the wild wolves gather deep in the forest for a wolf fest.
Dad, that's an old wives' tale.
I should be so lucky, lucky, lucky. I should be so lucky in love. I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. It's lovely to see you. Cheers. What's up? Dad? That guy today? The black guy? Who is he? What was he doing here? Why? He was one of them. One of the gang responsible for this.
You did this to me, Dad. My father's waiting for you in the garden.
It's the 10th stop.
And today's story is called The Singing Chandelier. Psst.
Haydn!
Fancy a cup of tea, Hilda?
Love one. Haydn's my hubby. He works the lights. He's ever so clever.
Oh, don't be soppy, Hilda.
Look at all those buttons. How does he ever know which one to press?
How do you manage to sing so beautifully?
Oh, don't be daft.
There's your mug.
Oh, thanks. There you are, Haydn.
Ah, Dame Clodagh, what an honour.
There's something wrong with the lights.
The lights?
Yes, for the Grand Opera, the removal men.
Are they too bright?
Too bright? They're not bright enough.
The lights.
The lights?
Lights that bedazzle, lights that shimmer like stars, lights that sparkle like jewels. Of course, maybe the lights can tell her.
Well, what do you mean?
Oh, wait and see.
What you want? Johnny?
What are you two doing dressed like that, Mr. Cryer? A bit of detective work?
No, it's not the closest to running, Johnny. Us old mugs, we're training for the divisional quarter marathon.
Well, see you then.
Yeah, Johnny.
Bye.
Look after yourself. Oh, shouldn't have stopped. Oh, shattered. It's hard work. Oh, perhaps we're getting too old for this. There's no perhaps about it. Oh, you wouldn't believe I used to play divisional soccer, would you? Well, you still play cricket, don't you? Yeah, but there's no running around in that. Hey, those kids are mugging him. You all right, Johnny?
Of course I'm not. Don't be up, you silly twat.
Fair enough.
I'd rather get on with the job myself than tell other people what to do, especially people like Dave Quinn. Hello, Johnny. You all right now?
I'm all right. You want to keep your eye on Sergeant Cryer. He'll end up in one of these if he's not careful. Wants to take care of himself. A man of his age.